Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. The four chickens. The great name of the chicken Kabbalah. Fire, water, air, earth. Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. Etzilith, Briah, Yetzirah, Asaya. And the chicken Kabbalah cat. Anyway, my son, Jean Paul, dressed me, figuratively speaking. He's in Macau, China, where he teaches at the university, and he sent me this beautiful University of Macau windbreaker and this chicken in honor of the chicken Kabbalah and son of chicken Kabbalah, this cap for his old dad to wear to the coffee shop. Let's talk about playing cards as tarot cards this morning. And I'm taking the text for today out of the Book of Ordinary Oracles, the best book by Lon Milo DuQuette that nobody has. But you can change that, actually. If you think it's a too lightweight and unmagical and such, get one for your kids. Okay, it's one of my favorite books, and I go to it. I use it all the time. It's got it even has the Yi Ching of Milo in it, and all sorts of other things. It's fun, but it's also serious stuff too. And today it's chapter 7, the Playing Card Tarot and the Solitaire Oracle. Now I'm not going to read the whole thing to us, but I am going to hit some high points. What I have here, okay, it looks like the Tarot of Ceremonial Magic, okay, but actually it's just the 56 or the 52 cards of a modern deck of playing cards. So that if you've got a cheap old deck of playing cards, in a sense, you have at least the potential of a tarot deck, at least an oracle deck. It starts with an epigram where I quote the brilliant and famous Rabbi Lamed Ben Clifford, may he rest in peace. Did the tarot come from playing cards, or did playing cards come from the tarot? Yes. Okay. Most of us have at least one deck of playing cards laying around the house. If you don't already own one, you can pick up a deck at any supermarket, drugstore, or convenience store for about $3. If you can't do that, I'll show you later in this chapter how to draw playing cards, quote, draw playing cards using dice. Playing cards are perhaps the most common oracular device in the world, and one of the gypsy fortune tellers' classic oracles of choice. They are also used in a number of other popular prophetic games, including the favorite of the DuQuette family, Gong Hee Fat Choi. It's like a game, okay, using playing cards, but it has like a board. It's just a sheet of paper that has field names, and it was meant I think it was invented in the 20s, 1920s or 30s as a parlor game, but it's really cool. Gang Hi Fat Choi. Let's see. To say that there are similarities between playing cards and tarot cards would be a monumental understatement. In fact, scholars continue to debate which came first. I believe both schools of thought are at least partially correct. The standard 78 card tarot deck appears to be a combination of the cards of two games that were very popular in northern Italy in the first half of the 15th century. Carta da Trafoni, Cards of the Triumph, which was eventually called Tarocchi. Now, don't ever use my pronunciations of any word as the correct pronunciation. Please know that all my pronunciations are incorrect, and so they might as well be correct. So give me a break. The two games were Carte da Trifoni, Cards of the Triumph, which was eventually called Tarocchi. And the second game was called Mamluk, M-A-M-L-U-K, which, according to some sources, found its way to Europe in the 1370s. Tarocchi gave tarot the 22 trump cards of the major arcana. These cards display the characters and images most of us think about when we hear the word tarot: the Fool, the High Priestess, Wheel of Fortune, Death, etc. The only tarot trump that remains in the deck of modern playing cards is the Fool, now known as the Joker. I'll discuss the trumps further in Chapter 8 and 9. The Mamluk cards are essentially identical to the deck of modern playing cards. According to some authorities, Mamluk gave tarot 52 of the 56 cards of its major arcana, the non-trump tarot cards. Like a deck of modern playing cards, Mamluk had 4 suits: polo sticks, cups, swords, and coins. In modern playing cards, these have become clubs, hearts, spades, and diamonds. 3 royal cards: a sultan or a king, a viceroy, and second deputy. These incarnated in modern playing cards as king, queen, and jack. A set of 10 pip cards, 1 through 10 for each suit. This arrangement mirrors almost exactly the minor arcana of the tarot, which also has 4 suits: wands, cups, swords, and discs, and 10 numbered pip cards for each suit. Tarot, however, has 4 royal or court cards for each suit: king, sometimes called knight, queen, prince, and princess, sometimes called page. In the classic tarot reading, the 56 cards of the minor arcana, the court cards and pips, play a very important divinatory role. The 40 pip cards represent the very nuts and bolts of everyday human life: love, and romance, business and money, conflicts, victories, changes, success or failure. The court cards, while having situational meanings, can also represent real people in certain contexts. It is from these cards that you're likely to find understandable, straightforward answers to your divinatory questions. In fact, Many professional tarot readers work with spreads that employ the cards of the minor arcana exclusively. The point I'm trying to drive home here is that the minor arcana of the tarot is one of those nearly perfect things that I talked about in Chapter 2 that can, under the right circumstances, serve as a powerful oracle. Anyone familiar with the sublime spiritual science art known as Kabbalah will tell you precisely why these cards are so nearly perfect. The four suits represent the four divisions of existence, the four Kabbalistic worlds, the four divisions of the human soul, the four chickens on Lon's hat. These four divisions are further expressed by the famous Kabbalistic schematic, the Tree of Life, with its 10 emanations of consciousness, and, well, you get the picture. You have heavy mathematical and Kabbalistic perfection in your hands when you hold a deck of Tarot's minor arcana, and in the structure at least, in a deck of modern playing cards. They nearly approach that perfection. Playing cards may not be as complete or as sublimely beautiful as a colorful deck of tarot cards, but used with sincerity and skill, they are potentially the most powerful oracular instrument you have laying around the house. Before we talk about the divinatory meanings of the individual cards and learn a couple of ways to read them, let's talk briefly about the general meanings of the four suits and the cards that they represent, especially the card that represents you, and it's called the significator. The four suits, under the heading here, it's very easy to see the four suits of playing cards: clubs, hearts, spades, and diamonds, reflected in their tarot counterparts: wands, cups, swords, and discs or coins. A wand is a wooden stick, and so is a club. A loving cup is a romantic symbol of matters of the heart. The Italian word for sword is spada, spade. And the disc or coin, the symbol of material matters, finds a perfect material expression in playing cards as a suit of diamonds. Moreover, their general divinatory meanings are the same. Like a monarch's scepter, clubs represent matters of control, the will, business, and constructive enterprises. Hearts represent matters of the hearts, emotions, love, romance. Spades concern the intellect and matters of the mind, often indicating conflict, frustration, and quarreling. Diamonds concern all things material: money, property, labor, etc. Another fundamental way of thinking about the four suits is by attributing them to the four elements of the ancients: clubs, wands, or fire; hearts, cups, or water; spades, swords, or air; and diamonds, discs, or earth. But you don't have to delve too deeply into the mechanics that dictate the meanings of the playing cards if you don't want to, because I've thoughtfully supplied general divinatory meanings to the cards in the pages that follow. I did all the work for you. Okay. Relax. Lon did all the work for you. All you have to do is wake up. Okay, but I digress. Let's see. let's see. The significator. The significator is the card that represents you when you read for yourself, or the querist. Now, I use the word querent, okay, but my editor, okay, who I admit always knows more than I about matters of the English language, and I am so lucky to have wonderful, talented, brilliant editors to make sense out of the nonsense of my writing, okay? And my dear editor who edited this book, working for Weiser Books, said, querent isn't a word that we use. And I said, I'll call it anything that's correct then. And so she suggested querist. And I sort of went, okay. So throughout this whole book, we use the word querist as the person who's answering your client when you're doing divination for somebody. I got to digress for a second. Uh, every year for a number of years, the great tarot reader and author Janet Barris in Chicago organized what she called the International Tarot Congress. It was a big convention, and she held it in Chicago at hotels in Chicago. And I never missed one of those, except perhaps the first one. And on the last evening, there was always a gala event of some kind, a banquet and a show and things like that. It was just great. And you can imagine the colorful, creative people that show up from all over the world at Janet's conventions. And there was a theme to one of these closing banquets, and it was "Come as your favorite tarot card." And I dressed, I just had a black robe in my luggage. I always travel with a black robe, and so I came as the hermit from the Tarot of the Obese. And we all had to get up on stage and announce who we were. And in those days, I was like 350 pounds. And so I said, I am the hermit from the Tarot of the Obese. But I mean, some of them were great. The tower was insanely cool. But my good friend, dear friend for many, many, many years in Chicago, Alan Salmi, he was just in a regular kind of ceremonial robe, but there was nothing particular to distinguish the robe, and he just kept circulating through all of us, saying, "I don't get it. What does it mean by this? What are you trying to say? Who are you? Who am I?" and he was being as kind of obnoxious. But he would just be whining all the time as asking questions. And then it finally dawned on, he got himself a sticker that said, "Queer it." I guess you had had to have been there. So everybody else came as a card. He came as the queer it. Okay. Oh, gee, I digress. Sorry about that. Um, Usually, the significator is the royal card that represents your birthday or the birthday of the queerest. Each of the royal cards follows the tarot tradition and rules a particular 30-degree period in the year. So each one of us is represented by one of the 12 royal cards. In addition to that, as an example, okay, I'm July 11th, and the 30-degree period that July 11th lands on is the Queen of Cups, or the Queen of Hearts. Then I'd be a Queen of Hearts. In addition to that, each pip card, 1s through 10s, except for the 4 aces, which are treated differently, each pip card represents a particular 10-degree period of the year. So the 10 degrees for July 11th would be the 3 of hearts. So I'm a Queen of Hearts and a 3 of hearts. Okay. So in a very real sense, each of us has 2 birthday cards, one royal card and one pip card. Can you see how this information might come in handy in a fortune-telling session? It's most common, however, to use your royal card as a significator to be especially aware of your pip card if it shows up in a spread. Confused? Don't be. Lon did all the work for you. No, I didn't write that. Don't be. Just find your birthday in Table 2 and discover your royal and pip card significator on page 66. Okay, we got, things like that. You may wish to write your name on the card itself so you don't forget. You can do the same with the cards that represent the birthdays of friends, relatives, or others who may have something to do with your question. As a matter of fact, to help you remember the meanings, you may wish to write any or all of the information or the following information on the cards themselves. After working regularly with this marked deck, the attributes will start to sink in, and you can throw it away and use a fresh deck. Splurge. They're cheap. Okay. I go into a section how the reading works and stuff, and concentrate on it and shuffle and do all of that. I'm not going to go into that part. And I give examples. I give 4 examples of common spreads. Okay. And I'm not going to get into that either. I'm going to jump right to the very the very end, because that I call the Solitaire Oracle. And I've done this because I got so bored on an international flight, and I didn't have my tarot cards were packed in my luggage, and but I asked the flight attendant if they had a deck of had a deck of playing cards. And in those days, most airlines had their own little novelty tarot or playing cards that they just give you if you ask for them. And so I devised this oracle. Do you know how to play solitaire? If you don't, I'll bet you know someone who can teach you in about 2 minutes. Today, most of us are introduced to the game through our home or business computers, many of which have the world's most popular version already installed. Not everyone knows that Solitaire is also a bona fide game of chance played in casinos. Fewer still know that it can be a powerful oracle. The most fascinating aspect of using Solitaire as an oracle is that the outcome, the answer, is not just a foregone conclusion determined by cold destiny the moment the cards are shuffled and cut. By playing Solitaire, you inject yourself, your decisions, your concentration, your skill, and yes, your oversights and mistakes into the process of selecting the cards for your reading. The way you play the game is the most vital component and catalyst determining the final outcome. Kind of scary, huh? Winning, in the old sense of the term, is not the object here. Ultimately, the answer can be 1, 2, 3, or 4 card reading that you interpret from left to right. Naturally, winning the game obviously indicates the best of fortunes. And the details of your triumphant answer are revealed not so much by the traditional meanings of the 4 kings as by your interpretation of the order in which they appear. But every game is a win because the Solitaire Oracle never fails to give you an answer, even if the answer is, I have nothing to say at this time. Try again later. Simply ask your question, play a game of solitaire, letting the cards fall where they may. When you can go no further in the game, take note of the last cards you were able to place on top of the play stacks and then discover their meaning below. And then I go into standard divinatory meanings for each of the cards of the Lesser Arcana. There we go. When you take all the trumps and the princesses out of a tarot deck, you've got a deck of playing cards. You could take a tarot deck and play poker with them, or solitaire. Anyway, I hope that's food for thought. It's Friday. Tomorrow I'll hopefully be here to have Saturday morning cartoons. So start your weekend right now. Are you at work? Walk out. Say, excuse me, I'll be right back, and then come back on Monday. Until then, till tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.